Records of the Grand Historian. Thursday, July 9, 2015. Viral Our Lady Isis of Washington, D.C. Personal moment with the phallus of Osirus. In plain sight. Hakasi. I am so glad you came back to my blog. This is my 4th post and I am going to reward you for your visit today, with the finding that I think I am the first besides the insiders to know about Our Lady Isis in Washington, D.C. having a personal moment with Osirus's phallus. Before the birth of Horus. Her goggles are the White House. And I will show that our ancient gods wore goggles. Isis is also seen as an Anna who wore the ear coverings as seen in ancient Anunnaki artwork. This is the reason for Princess Leia being patterned with her hair in a similar fashion. Leia is a twin of the Twin Towers, descended from Jupiter. Darth, the twin symbolism is a Venus symbol that is prevalent throughout all time on Earth. Our Lady of Washington, D.C. is dipped heavily in water, making me think that she might be a mermaid, but is certainly associated with Mari or Mary. It is quite likely that she is holding a vessel, which is later interpreted to be the Holy Chalice, perhaps symbolizing her own womb. Here is a statue believed to be of the goddess Inanna with her space helmet and, from Mari, Syria, which is a root word having to do with the sea, and possibly the origin of the sacred associations with the name, which was one a title, Mary. No study of Isis/Inanna/Mary/Semiramis would be complete without her, Ishtar, warrior aspect, standing on lions, with her owl symbolizing sacrifice and her 2 rings which are echoed symbolically in too many things to list, from money, to Nupus to legends of Melusin, Starbucks. I hope to do a whole post on these 2 rings of power. In the image of Inanna/Isis to the right she has a cross strap and on the back he has an astronaut backpack attachment with a breathing tube to the helmet. How can all of these goddesses be Inanna/Isis/Semiramis/Mary? She could a very long-lived alien, a being that holds a lien on humans, being appearing to us to be immortal, or her name and image could be handed down to create the illusion of immortality. The rings are also, very importantly, the rings of Cernunnos and now of Cern. The Inanna/Isis/Ishtar here is standing on 2 lions, as we see in royal coats of arms and corporate logo, the royal association with lions saturating the symbolism of our everyday lives. Inanna was said to descend from the ancient family of the creator goddess Namu, who was her grandmother. Inanna held full power of judgment and decision in the control of the law of heaven and earth. Her sacred planet was Venus, the evening star. She was often symbolized as a lioness in battle. Along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were many shrines and temples dedicated to her. Owls are a symbol of human sacrifice. You should not intentionally participate in this symbolism. It is sad that owls are marketed toward children, as children were sacrificed to Moloch in the fire, so often that the GD 7/4, 4th of July, felt it necessary to tell his children that it is a sin to sacrifice their children in the fires of Moloch. So if you put owls on yourself or your children, this is a ritual of permission that you do not understand. You are giving permission for the death of your child to be dedicated to Moloch. Also do not put other Illuminati symbolism like skull and bones on yourself or your children. The owl symbolism of Moloch of Bohemian Grove fame is also strongly felt in Washington, D.C. as a yearly pilgrimage by our puppet slave politicians. We see the owls here and in Our Lady of Washington, D.C. Her left arm is pointing toward or holding the owl that is hidden in plain sight over the Capitol building. I accidentally made this graphic in grayscale so that I could print it out inexpensively. There are many more measurements here to be made, and sacred numbers to be observed. The 666/555 ratio of the height of the Washington Monument is famous. But what is less known is the associations with 6/5 ratio to many ancient and modern units of measurement. I am reading a book by Scott Onstead of Secrets in Plain Sight, Taking Measure. which goes into wonderful detail on many of the often used Illuminati numbers and sacred ratios, including 6/5. Isis head is 0.28 miles tall. The number 28 is an important number to understand. It is used in modern gematria to be the number of man. It is the days of rotation of the sun as visible from the earth. It is the number of years that the WTC buildings were allowed to stand. It is the second perfect number, 6 being the first. 6 and 28 are the only perfect numbers active in our calendars, making 6/28 a double perfect date, which was well observed this year and every year with special event in published hoax newsery. 28 is a harmonic divisor number, a happy number, a triangular number, a hexagonal number, and a centered nonagonal number. Click here to read the whole wiki article. Wiki 28 link. Isis breastplate is 0.19 mile in diameter, which is the same as the Atlantis flat world map of the Astana Palace pictograph installation in Kazakhstan. Both of these circles depict the plane of the cross, or the plane T. Pi is a very important and sacred number that cannot be overemphasized. I am just beginning to learn to decode language and numbers using pi, so I haven't explored this yet in either of these locations. Pi encodes the idea of Alpha and Omega, the Milky Way, the serpent eating its own tail, cycles and completion. As I wrote about in my last post, 9/23 and 9/11 are birth and completion numbers with great significance. English seems to be designed around these numbers, with many words decoding in gematria to have these dates and numbers in them. 23 is also a number symbolizing the double trident visible in ancient artwork with respect to the mystery star of Ra. It may be tool used to open the wormhole of Ra. The EE in the word free encodes this double trident. So many clues hidden in plain sight. Her left hand reaches to the owl of the Capitol building. Owl equals 15, 23, 12. With gematria, I spell it this way for the computer to read it right, that is, O equals 27 equals 9. W equals 23. Pointing to September 23, when Jewish rabbis are currently warning the return of the Messiah will occur. The Jewish people never fell for the whole Jesus story, although they were infiltrated by Satanists. As every corner of the earth has been. Our Lady Isis of Washington, D.C. has her feet, Irfan, in the Lincoln Memorial, which is bisected by 23rd Street. Her right hand reaches to Route 66. Please see my recent post about 9/11 and 9/23 and the birth and death symbolism, which makes a lot of sense as it ties in with Osirus symbolism. Here are a few images of Isis having a moment with the phallus of Osirus, to conceive Horus the falcon-headed god. This is an interesting idea about the Statue of Liberty 7/11 and Manhattan Island as Osiris's phallus. Osiris in simple gematria is 101. This corresponds with the Eiffel Tower sun god that I found, who is 1.01 mile tall and whose head points to the Star of Ra or Stonehenge. On my post linked here, the Eiffel Tower sun god, who we might as well call Osiris or Jupiter, which also equals 101, is on a line that link Philae to Stonehenge. Philae is where Osiris was reportedly buried in the first temple of Isis. Philae is the name of the European hoax comet robot in the news lately, reportedly coming back to life as the comet came out of the shadows, nearing our sun. Here is another photo of Isis in the form of the dove, perhaps with the ring of power and the ankh pulling life from the phallus of Osirus. These pictures come from a very interesting blog tying the Beatles to the Egyptian scarab and to the modern Egyptian religion worship that is rife in our government. Do they think about anything else? One has to wonder. The scarab beetle is another huge symbolic journey I hope to write about, from an exhaustive study of the sun, to a cosmology of our living plane, to structural pigmentation. The symbolism is deep and wide. Hidden Records has the most extensive and mind-blowing background on the ancient symbolism and geographical tie-ins. I am lucky to find pictographs and lines that I do not see published yet. But I could not understand the codes without giants like Wayne Herschel. Please buy his book for yourself and your intellectual family or friends, and consider funding his documentary. Please visit this page to understand the full scope of what is known about these symbols. Here is an audio of this whole page that you can play while you do something else, as there is really a lot of information to absorb. I like to have things read to me, or read it on paper. So if you are like me, you would rather listen. Link to hidden record audio. I will be listening again myself. My world has changed after finding the independent researchers that are hidden here and there in our world. Thank you for reading. Please check back for more new discoveries and updates on Our Lady Isis of Washington, D.C. and her private moment in plain sight. Posted by Heedless at 3:00 p.m.